Good morning. And welcome to today's presentations. Just as Charles said, this morning we'll be looking at cassava value chain with respect to starch and ethanol. But before we launch into the presentation of the standards, I would want to touch briefly on what Ghana Standards Authority stands for. And after that, Mr. Vincent Arthur will come in with the product standards, explain it into details, what the requirements are. My name is Francisca Frimpong.
Okay, Francisca, before you start, I see Madam on the call. So Auntie Joyce Okori, the acting head of standards, would give us a brief welcome before Francisca launches into the standard itself. So Auntie Joyce, you're welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And good morning, participants. A warm welcome to you. And I'm sure we are all eager to find out what this session is all about. First of all, I want to present GSA's compliments to everyone, a warm welcome on behalf of the Director General Management of Ghana Standards Authority. We know about these standards. They were developed to meet a need in industry, and it was proudly sponsored by UNIDO WACOMP, and it has been a great time with them discussing these standards and the insights that we've all gained. We're hoping that as the resource persons are going to go through these documents, all of you would appreciate the standards, and we know it's going to enhance your work and provide you with best practices. And the whole essence is to make your products worthy of export markets as well. So please listen carefully, ask all the questions you wish to ask to make things clearer and to enhance your production processes. So I thank you all for joining this session, and I look forward to the resource persons and the presentations they're going to give us. Okay, so I'll hand it over to Charles to continue the moderation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Auntie Joyce. And then, so with this welcome, I think we are now confident enough and ready to move on for the presentation itself. So Francisca would give us an overview of Ghana Standards Authority, what they do, what they offer for us to understand. Then we move on to the technical aspect of the standards later on. So Franca, you have the floor to start. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charles. We'll start off with discussions on what Ghana Standards Authority stands for. So Ghana Standards Authority's mandate covers 3 pillars of quality infrastructure: metrology, standardization, and conformity assessment. Metrology is a science of measurement. We all see stickers of GSA when we visit the malls. And then when we are buying fuel, we see it on the pump. Now, the whole idea is that we are trying to ensure that in trading purposes, we are not being cheated. And so if we are buying 5 kg, it is actually 5 kg we are buying. If we are buying 20 liters of fuel, it is actually 20 liters of fuel. It is the mandate of Ghana Standards Authority to ensure that all measuring equipment for trading purposes are calibrated and is delivering as it should. When it comes to manufacturing, it's also the same. If you are manufacturing, whatever you are manufacturing, whether gari, whether ethanol. Now, if you are packaging your products, you need to ensure that the weight you are declaring on your product is actually what it's supposed to be, so that you do not cheat the people out there. And then also, sometimes you may even be cheating yourself. And so to do that, you should ensure that all measuring equipment being used in the manufacturing of your products are calibrated by Ghana Standards Authority. Standardization is what we're dealing right now with, where we are going to discuss with you the content of the requirements as stated in the standards, and for you to ensure that you produce with that requirement in mind. And then conformity assessment to certify your products. Now you need to inspect your facilities. We need to take samples from your facilities and analyze it. And then based on these testing reports and inspection reports, we give you your certificate. So when it comes to a quality infrastructure, all these three are handled by the Ghana Standards Authority. The vision of Ghana Standards Authority is to become a customer-focused, world-class standards organization. And our mission is to contribute towards the growth of industry, protect consumers, and facilitate trade. And to do that, we are doing that through the three quality infrastructure that I spoke about, the quality pillars that I spoke about: standardization, metrology, and conformity assessment. These are the services, some of the services that Ghana Standards Authority gives. So if you need your products to be analyzed, we offer testing. We have testing facilities, state-of-the-art laboratories, which are accredited to analyze your products for you. To get certification, you need to go through testing and inspection. And so they all form part of the conformity assessment that I spoke about earlier. Standards development. Yes, Ghana Standards Authority is mandated to develop national standards. And then in the development of national standards, all stakeholders are brought up as part of the whole process. I spoke about metrology. Metrology that looks at calibration and verification of measuring equipment. And then we have the Library and Information Dissemination Center, which houses all standards, national standards, as well as some international and regional standards. And so if you are exporting to any country and you wish to have information on the requirements of those countries, kindly contact the Library and Information Dissemination Center, and they will gladly support you with any information. If they don't have the information, they would write to that particular country requesting for the information for you. We also do a lot of training and sensitization, and this is one of them. We train and sensitize stakeholders on the requirements in the standard for them to be able to meet the requirements. And then we also always have the consumer at heart. Whatever we do, if you don't have the consumer at heart, our products will not be bought. Okay, so we need to educate our consumers on what to look out for when they are purchasing these products on the market. So these are some services that is being provided by Ghana Standards Authority. We are talking about standard. Someone would ask, what at all is a standard? So a standard is a document that provides requirements, guidelines, or characteristics that can be used to consistently ensure that whatever you are producing or whatever services you are giving out are fit for purpose. And to do that, we do that through technical committees. Sometimes I hear people say that, yes, Ghana standards. It's actually a national standard. Ghana Standards Authority are only facilitators, and it's a part of our mandate to facilitate the development of the standard. But the work actually is being done by the technical committee, who are made up of several stakeholders within that particular subject area that we are working with. And so when it comes to the technical committees, who are the people we look out for? We always have the academia and research on board. The academia and research, we usually make them the chair because they are neutral. And then we bring on board government agencies. Why? Because sometimes standards are basis on which policies are made. And so when we have them on board the technical committee, they are able to speak much better on the issues at hand. We always have industry and trade associations, manufacturers, you all fall under this particular category. We always bring you on board because we need your expertise as well. Then we have the consumer advocacy groups that speak on behalf of the consumer. We need to hear the voice of the consumer. And then we have the conformity assessment bodies that does inspection, testing, and certification. they have a lot of data to support the development of the standards, and so we always bring them on board. Then regulatory bodies. Regulatory bodies support with the implementation of the standard, and so it's also very important that we have them on board. Then we always have the secretary from the Ghana Standards Authority. There are different types of standards, and so these are the 4 types of standards available. Usually when it comes to manufacturing, your interest is mainly on the specifications, which states the minimum or maximum requirements that your product should meet. However, sometimes there is a combination of both the specification and the test method. Some test methods are very simple, and you can easily do that in your factories. And so sometimes you have a combination of both test methods and specification standards. Then we have the guides and codes that generally gives guidelines on how implementation is done within that particular industry. So these are, and then we have the management system standards. I'm sure we've all heard about 9001, 22,000. So depending on whatever type of standard you require, you would always get it with Standards Authority. Ghana Standards Authority participates in several standard setting bodies. That includes both regional and international. So when it comes to the regional, we are looking at ECOWAS Standards Harmonization Program, and then we have the African Regional Standardization Organization. I'm sure as manufacturers, we've all been hearing about after. Yes. To be able to sell your product across the continent, we need one standard for that. And the body that is handling that is the African Regional Standards Organization. And so we are actively participating with the ASU Standards Harmonization Program. Then we have the Codex Alimentarius Commission. And then we have the International Standards Organization, ISO. And then we are affiliate members of IEC as well. I would want, if there are any members here who have registered or certified with Ghana Standards Authority or GSA, if anyone can help us with some of the benefits they have gotten by registering with Ghana Standards Authority or Food and Drugs Authority. Anyone here who has registered with Ghana Standards Authority or Food and Drugs Authority? Okay, so I would move on. When it comes to benefits of standards, now if you are able to ensure that your products are meeting the minimum requirements that has been set in the standard, there are several benefits that comes with it. And the first one is that your customers are very, very happy. And once your customers are happy, they buy more from you. They recommend your products to other people, and it will all help to increase your sales, which we are all looking out for. And then you have access to new markets. In other presentations, people said that they've been able to move to sell their products in the shopping malls, and that is because they have been able to register or certify their products. Okay, so you have access to new markets. You have a competitive edge over other manufacturers. Now, if you are the same people, you are all manufacturing ethanol, but yours is certified and the other is not. More people will buy from you than they buy from.
Okay, looks like there's a power outage at the GSA, so we might have to maybe wait a bit for Francisca to reconnect. I hope everybody can hear me. So, okay, I think she's back. So, Francisca, are you back?
Yes, I'm back. So I'll quickly finish up the presentation.
Right.
Okay, so you have access to new markets, and you'll be able to sell anywhere because people will have the confidence. And then you would be able to save costs because you know the final requirements or the final quality you are looking out for, environmental benefits that comes with complying with standards. You know how to handle your waste, and so it's very important you comply with standards. You'll be able to integrate because you are complying with international standards. Okay, you'll be able to integrate international or help you to get. Now, before a standard comes out, there are 6 stages it goes through. I wouldn't want to go in depth about it, but then there are 6 stages the standard goes through before it comes out. And so sometimes if you request for a standard from us and it takes a while, you should have an understanding that usually it takes about 18 months for a standard to go through these stages. However, sometimes we may speed it up depending on the type of proposal we receive. A proposal can be the review of an existing standard. It can be the adoption of an international standard, and it can be that there's no standard at all. It's a new standard. And so for that, we need to do a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of data collection to put together the documents. Thank you very much. Please, these are social media handles. Try as much as possible to follow us. And then we'll be doing more of these sensitizations so that as and when we advertise for it, you will be able to know about it. Thank you very much. Charles, please take over.
Okay, thank you very much. So this is Joseph here. I've taken over from Charles because I'm I'm in charge of Cassava. But thank you very much, Francisca, for the very detailed presentation on the GSA, the work, your work as an authority that's ensuring conformity and ensuring that the value chain actors are able to access markets and meet the requirements of our markets. Now, so at this point, if there are any questions related to the presentation that Francisca just made, please, the floor is open. You can raise your hand or prompt us in the chat box, and we'll call you to ask a question, or even if it's not a question but it's a comment or suggestion. The floor is open. Thank you. Okay, so I can see Stephen, Skyline Agro Solutions. Your hand is up. Please go ahead. Stephen from Skyline. If you are speaking, your mic is probably muted. Stephen, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Sorry about that. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, please, Stephen.
Good. So my name is Stephen from Skylink Agro Solutions. I would like to know, I don't know, because of the power outage, I also went off briefly. I don't know if that was tackled. If I am preparing to get certified, what are the processes or procedures that I should take? Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So your question is well noted. Francisca, let me take another one from Risbeck Ebenezer Offer. Risbeck Ebenezer Offer, and then we can address those questions. So Risbeck, please go ahead if I got your name correct.
All right, yeah, you did. Good morning, and thank you very much, Francisca, for the informative presentation. And my question has to do with the library information and dissemination. So I wanted to find out, with this information, are they free if in case I want information about maybe I want to export to a particular country and I don't have much information on that. Is it free services or I have to make some payment to those information? And secondly, my question has to do with the calibration and the verification too. How often do you follow up on people that comes to seek services from your end? Is it like once the person comes there to calibrate his or her equipment, that's all, or you do some follow-ups to make sure that the person is abiding or going by the certain the standards that needs to be done to make sure that whatever he or she is doing is right? Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Risbeck. So, Francisca, please respond to the 3 questions that have come up. I've seen other hands up. When you're done with that, then take the
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Joseph. So with the first one, what are the steps to take when getting certified or to be certified? So the first point is to get your documentations ready. You'll find all the requirements when you visit our website. The requirements for certification, you find it on our website. Go through the requirements, identify all the documents that you need. And I think you can also get, you can also get the forms there, fill it, and then submit it at the headquarters or any regional office, depending on wherever you are. If you're in the regions, you submit it at the regional office, and then they will take you through and work can start from there. They would deal with you on when to go for inspection and etc. But the first point is to get all the information with respect to the documentation that you need. And then our information free when you request for it. Yes, the information is free. There is an email address. I would type it in the chat box. If you need any information, we have the National Inquiry Point. Send that inquiry to that particular email and they will send any information you require, and it is free. Calibration and verification services, how often? And so when we do the calibration for you, there is a time limit on it. So on the sticker, you see that 2024, March 2023. So by that time, okay, if it's 1 year, sometimes it's 6 months. So it depends. Okay, so when you look on that particular sticker, the date on it is the date that's the time, that's a timeline for the calibration. So when that date ends, then the calibration team would, or the verification team would have to come in to do re-verification again. Usually it's between 6 months to 1 year. And it all depends on your usage of equipment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Francisca. So we are taking 2 more questions and then we'll go to the next presentation. So George Pra, you go first, followed by Eben. Thank you. So okay, George.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Joe. And thank you, Francisca, for the presentation. Just a quick one. It's in connection with the first question about certification. I've been in meetings where some stakeholders are saying that Ghana Standards Authority are not supposed to certify certain things. Could you give us idea as to specific areas that you do certification so that people would not come present their whatever commodity for certification? At the end of the day, it will be seen as not the responsible or authority to do that certification. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Eben.
Okay, my question is similar to the first one. So I want to also find out if I have my food product and I get a certification from FDA, why do I need another certification from PSC?
Okay, thank you very much, Eben. Your question is pretty straightforward. So over to you, Francisca.
Okay, thank you very much. So first of all, the 2 institutions, Ghana Standards Authority and the Food and Drugs Authority's mandates are totally different, okay? FDA is supposed to do registration and they have their scope, but Ghana Standards Authorities, our mandate is to do certification, and we certify all products. We do not have any scope within which we're working. Our certification covers all products. Okay, it's all. And so when you want the certification, okay, you have to come to Ghana Standards Authority. What FDA does is not certification, it's basically registration. However, we've noticed and we've had the cry of most of our stakeholders saying that it's quite costly to do both. And so we are in talks with the Food and Drugs Authority to try and harmonize our operations and such that when you make one application, okay, it would cover for both the registration and the certification. And so you wouldn't have to go through both institutions. You would have both. We are still in talks with the Food and Drugs Authority in harmonizing the operations, and we hope by very soon the harmonization process would begin. But currently, if you have to certify your product and register your product, you have to do both. But hopefully, once the harmonization discussions are ended, you'll be able to just make one application and you have both your registration number as well as your certification number. The process are totally different. Thank you.
And please,
Okay,
just
so
a follow-up question. Just a follow-up question. You mentioned certification and registration. From my experience, can you first tell me the difference? Then also from my experience, I realized that the process FDA goes through before they register your product is almost the same as what a GSA does for certification. So can you distinguish between the certification and the registration? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Eben, thank you very much. No more questions. We'll have to proceed with the rest. So, Franz, can you take this question and then we'll go into the subsequent presentations? Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. So when it comes to registration, just as the word says, you want to get information about the products that you are regulating. Okay, so basically you're supposed to just have a list or a directory of people who are manufacturing the products that you are regulating. And so it should be based on some form of after some form of conformity assessment. And that is where Ghana Standards Authority comes in. We are supposed to be handling the conformity assessment. And that is our mandate to do conformity assessment. Recently, we've seen that, yes, the FDA is also handling some form of conformity assessment. And that is why we say that there seems to be, when it comes to the work, it's distinct who is supposed to do what. But then as we work around, we realize that there seems to be some form of duplication. And so in that regard, that is why we are having discussions with the Food and Drugs Authority in trying to harmonize the operations to support the SMEs when it comes to the registration and conformity assessments. So that is the difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francisca, for the responses. So at this point, we'll go into the presentation of the standards. Francisca, we're going to start with ethanol, right?
Yes, Mr. Vincent Tata would do that presentation for us.
Start with the cassava starch, please.
Okay, so we'll start with the cassava starch. It's going to be done by Mr. Vincent Arthur. So Vincent, go ahead, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And good morning to everyone. Okay, so before I even start the presentation, I just want to say that cassava is actually the most important root crop in Ghana. And this information that I have was actually before the growing for planting for food and jobs. So it was estimated that cassava production was around 900,000 hectares.
And in Ghana here, 70% of the farmers even engage in cassava production. And this sector also contributes about 22% of the agricultural GDP. That makes cassava production a very important area and its value chain. I mean, Ghana even ranks among the top 5 cassava producers in Africa, with an annual average production of about 16 million metric tons. And there's been about 18 different improved varieties. I do not know if maybe right now it's gone beyond the 18 for commercial quantities, and we use it for diverse uses like starch, flour, ethanol, chips, etc. There are, please, can you see my slide, please?
Yes, but it's not in presentation mode.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, you got it.
And is it audible? You can also hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. So we start with the cassava starch. So this is the outline for my presentation, and we move just in. So this industrial cassava starch aims, specifies requirements, methods of sampling and test for cassava starch for industrial use in the cotton textile industry, for paper industry, as adhesives in producing box board, etc., and other purposes. This is not actually for the food and pharmaceutical industries. So the physical chemical requirements that the standard actually asks for, you look at the particle size, the pore, and please let me state that there are limits to some of these requirements and certain things stated there. So the particle size has a particular sieve through which it has to go through for us to check if the particle size passes. The viscosity, moisture content, your starch content, I think I even stated your starch content for the industrial cassava starch should be 95 minimum. So we check all these parameters: ash content, your crude fiber, your free fat acidity. The pH also ranges between 5 to 7. Then also the petroleum hydrocarbon extractable matter. Now with packaging, we advise, or the standard actually states that it should be packaged in a suitable paper or polyethylene lined jute bags, or sometimes any agreement that goes on between the producer and the client. The labeling requirement, we expect that all these requirements are met. And this is what actually the regulator also looks at. You have to provide all this information on your label. The sampling is done by us. So we do it in accordance with a certain clause in GS 97. Now the economic benefit of industrial cassava starch, you can use it for the sizing and finishing the cotton industry, for paper, for making tapioca, laundry starch. We use it to even treat arthritis, hair loss, dandruff, some skin infections. I want to quickly move to the next one, which is the ethanol. Okay, so we have another standard, that is the industrial ethanol. This is the outline for the presentation. So the scope, this standard specifies requirements and methods of sampling for ethanol suitable for industrial use. So this ethanol is not for medicinal use, it is not for food purposes, and that is the exclusion in the standard. So this is the requirement that the standard specifies. We look at the color, the density, the ethanoic strength. So it's around 95% minimum volume per volume. We check for miscibility with water, the acidity, the residue on evaporation, alkalinity, even the methanol content is checked. It should have at least a maximum limit of about 0.04. With packaging too, we advise that ethanol is packaged in suitable containers, which will not react with alcohol, because we know that ethanol reacts with a lot of things. And all the containers or the materials that you also package them in should be dry and clean. I mean, there shouldn't be any substances that stand the chance of also dissolving into the alcohol or the ethanol we are talking about. And you need to also provide certain safeguards. So usually some of these ethanol come with their own MSDS, so that for safety purposes. The container should also be securely closed, and make sure that when you are even closing, it will not cause any evaporation or contamination in the course of you closing the containers. The labeling also, in accordance with LI 1541, we also advise that you have the following requirements. The name of your product, you have to state categorically that this is ethanol, maybe industrial grade or industrial ethanol, so that we know that this is not for the food or this is not for pharmaceutical. The name of the address of importer or manufacturer. If you have a trademark, you can add it. The net content, then you have to also state that it's highly flammable. It's the same thing as flammable anyway, because inflammable, flammable have the same definition. So you will have to put on it that it's also highly inflammable. It's a caution. The strength in percentage, that's the ethanoic strength, you have to state it volume by volume. Then your storage condition, you need to state all these things on your label, your batch number as well. These are extra demands on the label. The date of manufacture, you give your best before date, and pictorial symbols to show flammability and toxicity, and the country of origin. Now we do the sampling. The sampling is done by us, so you do not have to worry about this. We do the sampling. These are some economic benefits. We use them as ingredients in a range of personal care products or cosmetic products. So we're making hand sanitizers. It's used in the paint and varnishes industry. Let's say industrial ethanol can be denatured to even be used as fuel for vehicles. And research shows that it lowers carbon monoxide emission by about 30%, reduces the exhaust volatile organic compounds, also emission by 12%, reduces even toxic emissions by 30%, and reduces carbon dioxide greenhouse gases by about 35% or more, even than petrol or gasoline gas. So that's the reason why they are even now the world has even moved into using this industrial ethanol as fuel. It's all around. I'm concluding by saying that we can grow our businesses in a country if we stick to standards and also certifying our products. If we do not comply with standards and there's no proper certification of our product, it will lead to influx of people bringing in substandard goods and certain trade barriers, which will not be healthy for businesses. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vincent, for that detailed presentation. I think that one concern that came up is that some of your terms were very technical. So I'm sure that some questions will come up regarding certain terms that you used. But that was a very good and also very brief overview of the ethanol standard. So we will now I'll open the floor for questions and comments and suggestions. And then Mr. Risbeck, you are the one who raised the issue of terms. So maybe I can start with you. Is there or are there any group of terms that you want some explanations to? And then I'll follow that. Chris Kwashe will follow Mr. Risbeck in that order. So, Mr. Risbeck, please, the floor is open for you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Vincent, nice presentation, but however, I think you rushed us through the presentations because I needed more information on that. I was much interested when I saw the flyer, so I wanted more information on that. With some of the terms that you mentioned there, I think if some of the terms I don't, but if you could maybe give us if when you mention them, you at least you explain them to us a little so that we'll have more information on them. Like I don't know if you can show us the slide so that I can point out some few stuff to you. I don't know if that's
But are there any specific terms that you had challenges
with? I wasn't able to note them down because it was just rushed. Like the slides was going too fast for me to get them.
Okay, so which specific slide are you should we look at?
I think the second one on the Ethanol.
The second slide. Okay, yeah, so Vincent, let's see the second slide. Looks like the problem was with that slide.
Yeah, I think the fourth slide.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So with what you have here, maybe like the 4 point, for instance, maybe you can give us, you can explain them to us a little. You can give us a little information on that. You know,
Oh, okay. So these are actually tests that are done in the lab. They will check for the color of the ethanol. They will check the density in air at 20 degrees Celsius. And there are limits to which has been set based on proven scientific evidences. So fortunately, I didn't bring some of the limits. So when you get the standard, you could even see some of the limits, maybe at density in air at 20 degrees Celsius, it should be of this value, maybe in kilogram per meter cube or gram per centimeter cube. Then the ethanoic strength, I think I mentioned it, that is the strength of the ethanol. We don't expect it to fall below 95% volume by volume, or volume by volume. Miscibility with water. So these are actually tests that is done. We do it in a ratio of 1:19. So measure 1 of the ethanol is to 19 of the water, and they take it through a certain process to measure if the limit that has been set, your product actually will pass. The acidity, residue on evaporation, and all that. It uses certain machines to actually work on some of these things. So I know why you're saying they're so technical. Yes, it's true. They are technical because it is actually done by the lab expert. And they do and check even the permanganate time and the methanol content of the ethanol that has been produced or manufactured by you. So this is purely a lab work. So when you bring your product, these are some of the parameters for which that they will check.
All right, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Vincent, for that. And now before Chris, Linda has put a registration link in the chat box. So kindly click it, and then if you did not register for the training, kindly click the link that has been provided, and provide your details, your name, your contact details, your contact number, and other basic information, including email. So now, Chris, the floor is open for you.
Okay. Good morning, Joseph, and good morning, Vincent.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, sir.
Would there be another presentation on beverage grade ethanol as opposed to industrial grade ethanol?
I think that I will throw it to Mr. Joseph. Would you?
Because 95% of the market is beverage grade.
Okay, so at this point, it's something that we'll have to consider. So yeah, I mean that's what I can say for now. So we'll have to, based on the suggestion, because you are an industry person, you've been in this business for a long time. So I think that it's something that we have to work on. So Vincent, maybe with Madam Joyce and Charles, this is something that we can discuss.
Because
okay.
there is a GSA standard 155 on it.
Yes.
This is 315 for the industrial, but 155 is beverage. So I was just wondering why that didn't also occur, in the on the agenda.
Yeah. So I think this
Okay,
agenda
so,
was limited to the industrial ethanol and the cassava starch.
Exactly. So Chris, just to maybe bring some, excuse me, just to bring some light to this meeting, the purpose. So this meeting is intended to provide information on the new cassava-based starch, ethanol and starch standards that have been produced with the support of WACOMP. So the beverage grade ones, if we have to look into one specifically for cassava beverage-based ethanol, then we'll have to maybe look at how maybe if there has to be any slight modification to the existing standard or whatever that has to be done to be able to meet that requirement.
Okay.
Right. Thank you very much, Chris. I see also George Pra, your hand is up.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. I share the same views with the first presenter. Vincent actually rushed us through. And also considering what Chris just mentioned, it's important that we consider the beverage grades issues, because that is what is popular on the market. Moving on to my suggestion or comment, I'm thinking that, like he rightly mentioned, that there are a number of varieties that have been churned out over the years. I was expecting that he could have brought up some of these varieties, because I'm sure people on the platform wanting to know which varieties will be good for this industrial or beverage or whatever starch we are looking out for, so that we know that these are the kind of varieties in the system and they are very good for a particular kind of product. Other than that, somebody might wrongly start a business by going in for any cassava at all to do A or B, which might not serve the purpose for which he wants to achieve at the end of the day. So it's very important that in preparing his next slides or whatever for them, he comes up with the varieties that we have in the system and what they are meant for. Because I'm sure the varieties we have will definitely influence the product when they are being brought for testing at this end. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
I was just going to say that from my point of view, every cassava variety can be used for ethanol or other cassava-based products. But maybe in terms of specific varietal yields, this is where maybe some differences might exist. I know that in the past, CSIR Crop Research undertook a study to assess the different varieties on the market and their yield potential. In fact, their uses, first of all, and also yield potential for certain types of products. Maybe we'll have to contact them and see if we can get some further information that we can share with our stakeholders. Well, thank you very much, George. I see, Vincent, would you want to make any comments?
No, exactly. I was going to say that I think the Crop Research Institute would help with this question. If you want a particular crop that maybe will produce more starch, because they were able to tell. I think we've been to some of the seminars where, as per their researches, they're able to tell you that this particular type of variety would help you to get a higher starch in your production.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. I see also Nana Danso. Your hand is up.
Yes. Good morning, everyone, and thank you. Yes. So following up from Mr. Kwashi's question, I am in the cassava flour space. So I'm also just asking if such a presentation or workshop will be done for high quality cassava flour, since the market for that is also quite high and growing also. So that's the question I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Nana Danso. Vincent, do you have any comments on that?
No, I think that is fine. Maybe we would talk after this meeting then.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, to look at the HQCF standards as well.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
All right. Thank you. Eben, I see your hand up, but I'm thinking that it's your residual hand. Is that correct?
No, I have a question.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yes, so I want to find out whether there is a standard or some specifications for the raw material, that is the cassava. So, for instance, if I want to use my cassava for ethanol or gari or any of the value chain of cassava, are there some specifications for the raw cassava?
Okay, thank you very much for that. So based on my experience, I have not seen any specifications for raw cassava. What I've seen is that there are different cassava varieties that have different characteristics. So for instance, some have a high starch yield, others are better used for fufu, others also have more fiber. So it depends on the variety. And I also know that, excuse me, I also know that there are also field certification, that's cassava production field certification practices. So then practices that one has to implement. And then I know that the PPRSD of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has a certification approach that they use to certify cassava fields, but I do not know if there are any specific standards for cassava, as in that whether if the root meets that standard, then it can be considered as cassava or not, or whether if the root meets that standard, then it can be is it certified or maybe standardized as only useful or more useful for ethanol. I don't know if there's anything like that, but I know about certification of fields and all that related to production, and then also the different varieties that exist. Vincent, would you want to make a comment on that?
No, I think what you said is very right. We do not have a specific standard for cassava itself, but we have some GMPs and all that here at the moment.
Okay, so I see Chris's hand is back, but Victor, Chris, hold on. Let's take Victor Obibini, and then we will come to you, please.
Yeah, I want to say good morning to all of you. And I want to also thank you for this opportunity. In fact, one thing I want to ask and I want to find out is that actually these days, most of the people that plant cassava, because sometimes they need quick money and they want it to grow faster, and they might add chemicals or fertilizers to the tubers. Can this happen on the ethanol?
So your question is well noted, Chris.
Yes, just to refer to, I think one of the participants was asking about the tuber, the standards for cassava tubers reference the industrial value chain. There's one key standard, which is starch content, because that is what makes it an industrial crop or makes it preferable as an industrial raw material. So I think anything below 20% starch should not be considered as a suitable raw material for an industrial process, be it starch, ethanol, glucose, because that is what makes it an industrial crop, the starch content in cassava. So there are a lot of varieties which have very low starch content, and those should not be part of the list of tubers which should be looked at for industrial processing. Just thought I'll throw that comment in there. So the key criteria for industry is the starch content. The higher, the better. Because that's what we process into the various derivatives. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Chris. So what you're saying is that we need to begin to look at the starch content and use that as a reference point for classifying a certain variety as useful for industrial applications or not.
That's correct. That's correct. Yes.
Thank you very much.
And they should be at least 20% starch, at least.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I think it comes back to the point that I made earlier, that we'll have to follow up with the CSIR crop research, because I know that they did some work in the past, so that we can fall on that as a some kind of reference point, for doing these classifications. Thank you. Yeah. So Vincent, would you want to respond to Victor's question?
No, please. I think he's answered it, so
okay,
it's fine. Thank you.
Right. Okay. So at this point, let us go into the presentation for the cassava starch. So we're going into the starch standards presentation. Chris, do you have another question, or it's just your old hand that is waving? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, right. So Vincent, the floor is yours. Or is it going to be done by Francisca?
No, thank you. I think I did it in the initial one, but I can project it again. I did for this is the starch. So this was the scope of the standard, and it specified that the starch, let me put in that presentation mode. The cassava starch for industrial purpose is for the cotton textile industry, the paper industry. We use it as adhesives, even in producing boxboard, and there are also other purposes. We are even using it as fuel now in vehicles. So this standard does not specify cassava starch for food and also for the pharmaceutical industry, maybe in making drug or their coating. So these are the physical chemical requirements for the cassava starch. The particle size, so the particle size will be tested, the cold water solubility. These are tests that are done in the lab. The viscosity of the starch at 25 degrees Celsius. So they all have minimum values. The moisture content will check the amount of water that is within. It has a limit. The starch content should not be less than 95%. That is how you are able to pass. Ash content also in percentage, the crude fiber, the free fat acidity, then the pH of your cassava starch should be between 5 to 7. From a less acidic medium all the way to neutral. Then your petroleum hydrocarbon extractable matter also would be tested for. Then the packaging, we advise, or the standard advice is that it's packaged in a suitable paper or polyethylene lined jute bag, or any agreement that may go on between the producer and the customer, because sometimes maybe to certain destinations, you may need something more than this, or there could be certain regulatory requirements that you need to also fulfill. So we advise that when you want to take your product, maybe beyond Ghana or somewhere else, look for other regulatory requirements that you need to fulfill so that you could help you also take your product there safely. And then with the labeling, all these information need to be provided. The name of your product, your address, the date of production, the country, your direction for use, your batch number, very important. Even the mass of the product, your best before date, your storage conditions, then you give also the net weight. But the sampling is done by us, so you do not have to worry. We do it in accordance with particular clause in GS 97. And these are some of the economic benefits of industrial cassava starch. So for the cotton textiles industry, as tapioca, we use it for making laundry starch and even to treat some level of arthritis, hair loss, dandruff, then skin infections. So cassava starch or cassava itself has a wide range of importance. And the conclusion is that we can grow our businesses if only you and I will stick to standards, because everything begins with standards. And I also advise that we do well to also certify our products. Just as my colleague was explaining, the certification process, you have to go through a lot of documentations. We make sure your processes are right. That is the way that sometimes when you're taking your product outside, people can even have more confidence knowing that you have gone through this exercise and have passed, having the mark of conformity from Ghana Standards Authority, which endorses your product that it is safe and of high quality, and anyone can actually patronize or use it and will not have any side effect. If we do not stick to standards, if we do not certify our product, it will just open it up for substandard goods to just come in, and sometimes it will cause trade barriers because you will not pass a certain requirement, and taking it into that country, you'll be stopped. So let's try and also comply with standards. These Ghana standards are made based on international standards. So when you pass these minimum requirements, you are sure that your product can arrive safely wherever you need to take it to. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vincent, for that. So I have about two questions. Number one, who can acquire the standards? Number two, where can they acquire the standards? Number three, how much will it cost for for one to get the standards?
Okay, so let me start with who can acquire the standards. Everyone, in fact, including for manufacturers, I think it should be one of their priorities because of what they are expecting from their product and the registration and certification process. I know that for some of the manufacturers, they even have some small labs where they're able to test some of these parameters that have been listed there. So if you know the limit and you're able to test maybe your pH or even your methanol content, then you are sure that at least once it passes even in your lab, when you take it to either the regulator or you take it to the standard authority, you are sure that you can pass most of the, in fact, all of the parameters there, because some of them are so crucial. If you do and your pH is falling beyond the 5 to 7 for the starch, then you know that you need to work on it very well, or there's a problem somewhere. And even in our lab here, I know that when they test for it and you do not fall within, they are able to advise, because they can tell you maybe do A, B, C, and you will definitely achieve it. And most people actually pass when they bring their product. For where to get it, the standards are sold by Ghana Standards Authority, so you can get it only here, either via the internet or you can come here and purchase it physically. And how much? I think this is, I can get you the amount, but for now, I don't know. The only thing is our standards ranges from around 100 cedis all the way to about 2,000. That's for building code, but like this kind of standards that are not too bulky, sometimes 100 or 160 cedis per copy. Yes, but I'm really not certain about the price now, but I know that it's within that range. Yes. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. I have additional questions. Okay, well, before I go into my additional questions, let me just state again that we have put a registration link in the comment box, so you may kindly go, just click it. I'm reposting it, so just click it and register yourself, your name, your company, your phone number, and then your email address. now, so others have asked whether they can get the slides after the presentation. Is this something that you can share?
Sure, I can. Yes, please, I can.
Okay. Now, I also have, Francisca has given an email address that one can send questions and any inquiries to, gsanep@gsa.gov.gh. It's in the chat, it's in the comment box, gsanep@gsa.gov.gh. And then I also see, okay, I think it's the same thing. So you can always inquire from GSA about the, whatever information that you require. But I wanted to ask a question, which is also very important to the actors, which is some organizations or some agencies like FDA have an arrangement with the Ghana Enterprise Agency so that they get a certain discount on services. Do you have a similar arrangement so that if any of the companies wants to acquire the standards, maybe they're going to get a discount because they're registered with GA?
Thank you very much. Yes, please. We have same arrangement with GA. So we've been advised that for most people who want to undergo the certification process and get certified by GSA, register with GEA, formerly NBSSI. And when you come with that proof, you will see that you have some big discounts on your certification fee. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think this is a welcoming news. Okay. Well, I see George. George, your hand is up. So George,
yeah,
please go ahead.
Yeah, Joe, thank you. Vincent, just a bit of clarification. The physicochemical analysis you mentioned about and the parameters you give, is it done on the product itself, as in the starch or the raw cassava?
No, it is done on the starch, please.
The starch. So
yes,
if I bring my raw cassava to you and I ask you to run through the parameters, like the one you mentioned, the physicochemical, the crude, that and all that, and I get to know the percentages or whatever, the content, would that automatically qualify if I process it into starch as the same? Or once it's processed, you have to run another test to get all those results again?
George, the question you are asking is, if I have a raw, let's say a raw cassava tuber, and I bring it to GSA to undertake those tests or that the list of analysis that they undertake on the product. If I bring a raw material and they undertake the test on the raw material, would that qualify? Would that pass for my product if I present the finished product? Is that the question you're asking?
Yes, like let's say the parameters you mentioned, the crude, the fiber content, whatnot. I bring the raw cassava, he does the test on it, I know the starch content, and my purpose at the end of the day is to produce starch. If I produce the starch, would that qualify the content? I don't know what I'm making myself.
Okay, well, I will leave it to Vincent to respond.
Yes. So
Vincent,
I think with what he's saying, it's not possible. You can't bring your raw cassava for us to test these parameters on them, because how can we do the ash content, or the crude fiber? You need to do your product.
You don't do approximate analysis.
No, please. You need to bring your finished product for us to test to see. Yes, please. So it's a finished product.
Okay. I get you. Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you very much, George. Please, are there any other questions from the floor? George, your hand is up again. That's your residual hand. Okay, so I think it's an old hand. So are there any more questions from the floor? Is there any burning question, any suggestion, comment? This is a good opportunity. GSA officers are here. If you have any question, I think that this is the opportunity to ask, so that when you go to their office and they're trying to get the standard, or when you are considering getting the standard, you will not have any confusion so far as
In the chat,
this is concerned.
How often is it done? I don't know.
Who's speaking, please? Kindly let me, you show your hand and I'll give you I'll call you. So I see Desmond. Desmond, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, so my question is that he said the registration is mainly done at the regional office or the national office, but I'm asking what services are the district office provide, as maybe the person is not closer to the regional office and he need their service. What service can the district office provide for those of us who are not closer to the regional office and the national office? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vincent, I think that this question is very clear. So please go ahead.
Yes, so if maybe I'll say something and my Franca would come in. What I know is that wherever you are, just try and get closer to any place wherein GSA's office is. And definitely they will give you the guidelines or the guidance that you need to get your test done or whatever information you want. Any place that is closer to you as per the proximity. That is what I would just say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Franska, would you want to add anything? Because I think that what he's trying to find out is, so if I need help, given that certain services are only undertaken at the regional office, and if I need help at the local level, is it possible that you're going to get that type of help, or I'll have to travel to the regional office? I guess it says that this is the clarification he's seeking.
Oh, okay, all right. So in that case, I think when you communicate with the office that is closer to you, and let's say there is no expert or whatever thing you needed needs to be taken or gotten from the headquarters, they would communicate with the headquarters and an arrangement will be made for you to meet whoever. Maybe possibly you will not even have to come down. Maybe the expert will meet you over there. An arrangement will definitely be made.
Okay, thank you very much, Vincent.
Yes,
the registration, we are still waiting for you to register. I think that at this point, I just want to acknowledge the fact that this program is being organized in partnership with the Ghana Standards Authority and also the Ghana Industrial Cassava Stakeholders Platform. It is your platform, and Cassava is your sector. If you have any other questions, we have other senior GSA officials on the line. If there are questions that Vincent and Francisca cannot answer, I'm sure that one of the seniors will be able to answer. So please, you have the opportunity. Don't lose it. Okay, so Zenat Adams says you can talk to us too. We can deliver your samples on your behalf at a small fee. So Zenat, are you a service provider? What do you do, please, Zenat Adams?
Hello, good morning, everyone. Yeah, we support SMEs to understand the demands of FD and GSD, basically. That's the consultancy service. The business name is Newman Food Scientific. So sometimes people call us and then they post their samples, let's say from Kumasi or Kufredua, and then we help submit the samples to the labs, and then we follow up on the results, and then we scan back to them to continue their process.
Right, thank you very much, Zenat. Maybe we'll take a last question from Desmond. Desmond, please shoot.
Okay, thank you once again. So it is follow-up of my question. I think part of my question was cleared by Madam Francisca. And what I'm trying to mean now is that the district office, what services can we access from the district office as a manufacturer? maybe I have some issue on my standardization and other things. What services can the district office offer to me as a manufacturer? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Desmond. So, Francisca and Vincent, what services do the district offices provide?
Okay.
Thank you very much. This is Francisca. Currently, the regional offices are more operational. We're still trying to put together the district offices or send over officers to the district to support people within the district. So if you have any issues, you'd have to contact the nearest regional office to support you. And if they can't handle it, they would refer the issue to the head office. But mostly the regional office are able to sort you out with any issue that you have. But currently, when it comes to the district office, mostly it's not really operational, it's the regional office. We are now trying to decentralize into the district, but very soon we'll get there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think that the message is clear. The district offices are just being set up. And so if you need any support, you go to the regional offices for now. And then once the district offices are well operationalized, they will be able to provide the services to you. I was going to say Desmond was the last, but it looks like Sefaji Ofori. So we'll take Sefaji Ofori as the last, and then we'll wrap up. Sefaji.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. So I asked earlier that how often is the test run? Is it that, let's say, you have your first batch of production, so you take your sample to GSA for a test to be run, for it to be certified, or at every time you undergo any kind of production, you would have to still get it tested? That's my question, sir.
Thank you, Sefaji. Francisca and Vince.
Yeah, thank you very much. So as good manufacturing practices, during your production, you should indicate some minimum criteria that your product you test to ensure that it's meeting the minimum requirement. Sometimes the factories or the manufacturers have some small setup laboratories and they can do some bits of some of these tests. However, if they cannot, we ask that they fall on the nearest laboratories who can help them. So some, if you are in the regions, some people are using the laboratories within the universities, and then others also bring it to us here. So for each manufacturing or for each batch, you are supposed to indicate in between your production some parameters you look out for. Some you can do simple ones like the pH or any other ones. You can easily have these handheld devices to do that. It's the major ones that is very difficult for you to run. And so for those ones, you may have to call on other laboratories to run it for you. And then you keep data on that, because these are some of the things that inspectors look out for when they visit the factories. Some of your QC stuff, these are some of the things they look out for. What are the tests you have run during your productions? Okay, so these are, and this is what will help you to know whether your product is meet or is conforming to the standards that, or the minimum requirements that has been set. Okay, thank you.
Right, so thank you very much, Francisca. On that note, please, just a final reminder, we put a link for the registration in the chat box. Kindly make sure that you register before we end the call. I'm not going to take any more questions. I'm just going to invite our partner, that is the Ghana Industrial Cassava Stakeholders Platform, to make a brief statement. Mr. Shadrach Sape is on the line. So Shadrach, if you could just give us a brief comment.
Okay, thank you very much, Joseph. Thank you everyone for joining on this call. We are grateful for UNIDO and the partnership that we have with UNIDO concerning everything cassava in this country. just to add to everything that has been discussed, in terms of this certification process, we as a platform, we are here for advocacy. And some of our members are on this call right now. But if you are not a member of the platform, I entreat everyone to be part of the platform, because some of these conversations and the ease of getting things done can go through the platform. So as a member, if assuming that you have challenges with trying to ensure that you get certification or any form of standardization, once you come through us, our lobby is powerful enough to support whatever you intend to do. So it's very key that we get more people who are within the cassava space to join the platform. It's the Ghana Industrial Cassava Stakeholders Platform, and our office is at Hacho, the Fidelity Bank building. We are on the 3rd floor. You can give me a direct message and try and get my contacts from Joseph as well. And then we can talk more if you want to become a member, as well as if you intend to do anything within the cassava space. Thank you very much, Joseph. And thank you all, especially the partners who came on board to discuss the various standardization issues and try to bring understanding to what needs to be done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Shadrach. So just a final reminder. Here's some contact details. Yes, so Madam Joyce is reminding everyone that please register because we need that information. Now, okay, so someone is saying, can you please post the name of your platform and contact details? So it is the Ghana, this is a Ghana Cassava Industrial Cassava Platform, Stakeholders Platform, Ghana Industrial Cassava Stakeholders Platform. Shadrach, you want to probably put your contact number on the chat so that people can get it. At this stage, I will invite Madam Joyce Okori to give us some closing remarks.
Okay, thank you very, very much. I see that we've had very fruitful discussions today, very, very interesting comments, and I would want to thank UNIDO WACOMP immensely for the support they have provided us, as well as even the cluster.
Madam Joyce, we lost part of your. Very much. We lost part of your comments. Probably if you could.
Because finding fun. Hello.
Yes, we lost you at a point.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
It's clearer now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's clearer now. Yes. Hello, madam.
Stop moving now.
Hello, madam. We lost part of your delivery, but I think that you're on now, so kindly go ahead.
Interference.
Oh. Hello, Madam Joyce.
Yes, Tim, can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you. So let's try it again. Oh, I think we've lost Madam. While she's trying to reconnect, Linda, are you online, Linda Jala? So what we're going to do is, please send us, can have a recorded portion. Yes, we'll send the link to the recording. And Vincent has also confirmed. Vincent, you confirmed that they can get the presentations, right?
Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Hello, Madam Joyce. Go ahead.
Apologies. My line just dropped. I don't know. Anyway, so I was just saying that I believe we've all had fruitful discussions on the standards, and I'm thinking that the participants are well versed with the issues now. Their questions and all the clarifications needed have been addressed. And I think we would continue to engage as usual, as and when new items come up, we can always engage. That's why I'm saying we should share our contacts and email especially, so that we can reach out to all the participants. And a big thank you to UNIDO WACOMP for the immense support. You can imagine that they've been supporting us with the standard itself, developing all these standards back and forth, you know, supporting us on the field, etc., as well as this final stage, which is the webinar. So we are greatly appreciative of the support from UNIDO WACOMP, and then our resource persons. We thank you so much for, you know, continually engaging stakeholders. And then our dear stakeholders, thank you so much for participating in it, and I hope that you can come here and then engage with us, pick some of the standards, and then if you want to take advantage of our certification process, it's open, and we can guide you on the processes of getting your certification done. So thank you all so much. I would end here, and all of you have a blessed day. I'm handing over to Joseph, right? Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Madam Joyce. So at this point, I'm going to call Madam Linda Jala. So her work is very simple. Please turn on your cameras, give us a smile. She's going to take a picture, which is very, very important for, yes. Okay, so Linda is here. So please let the camera start coming on. You want to see your beautiful faces. Okay. Okay, Sefaji, I can see you. I can see you, Priscilla Santewa, Al-Hassan, Kwesen, Eben. Please keep the cameras coming on. Robert, I see you. Please, let's have the cameras. We want to see more faces. Pearl. Okay. Oh, George, Risbeck, Stephen, Skylink. Good. So please give us a beautiful smile. Big legs, we are waiting. Infinix, Hot 20. Dennis, we are waiting. Abnakunet, we are waiting. Good. Okay. Okay, Vince, I see that you are sharing the camera with your madam. Madam Joyce, thank you very much. Yes. Yeah, so Linda, you can go ahead. Okay. Once you're done, please let us know.
One more.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Linda. And thank you very much, everyone, for your time and for your participation. As Madam Joyce said, it's been a very